Not much, man. We're about to record a show.
Who are you recording?
Me, Billy, and Matt. That was way too
Hey,
loud.
well, why don't y'all speak some wisdom to the people?
That's
Because
what we're
Lord
doing.
knows they need it.
Amen.
There's some tough times out there. You got to stay positive.
Amen, dude. That's kind of what this is about.
Go out and help your brother and help your sister.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Billy Collins.
Matt Doje.
And this is Magician.
And the Jock.
Guys, this is a special edition.
This is an in-between episode.
It is. We usually don't throw out another video, but all three of us, we have
Young Jock
on the producer. Ooh, look at
Special episode.
Special episode.
So you can see we are all three decked out in camouflage.
And camo. And it's because our community is in mourning a little bit.
Oh, a lot of it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, and this is the county. Well, I don't know if the county, but at least the direct area, which is a pretty big part of the county.
Down east. And so for those who don't know, and I texted you today or called you today and said, man, I think I want to get on there and talk about it. And not in a way to like, hey, everyone's talking about it. Let's, have like a photo op.
Right.
But it is something that's impacted our community so much. And that is the death of 8 people, 4 of which were at East Carteret High School, where my wife is from.
Yeah.
3 of them 15 and another one 16. And I don't know. Do you want to read off? I printed off their names.
Yeah, let's go and give a list of names. We have Noah Lee Styron, 15, with Michael Daly Shepard, also 15. Jacob Nolan Taylor, who was 16. Mm-hmm. Jonathan Kole McInnis, 15, and you want to read that?
Popcorn, Matt.
You want to do
Stephanie Ann McInnis, who is Jonathan's mom.
Right.
Douglas Hunter Parks, who is Stephanie's fiance, would have been Jonathan's future stepdad. Ernest Rawls, who was the pilot.
Right.
And Jeffrey Rawls, which I'm assuming is either probably his son.
His son was was co-piloting or in the plane with him.
And so for those who don't know, for those who are more under a rock than I am, maybe set the stage. These guys it was kind of a youth hunting trip.
Right, they were coming back from
Hyde County.
Yeah. Which really from Hyde County, those that are watching the channel that aren't familiar with where we live in a pretty, I wouldn't say rural area, but it's, we have rural areas and it's a small knit community, but where they were coming from.
Can't go much further east. So if you go too far east, you're hitting the water.
Yeah. So they were coming back from a hunting trip, and the trip should have taken 25 minutes by plane.
They're on a private plane, yep.
And with that being said, the plane went down 4 miles off the coast.
Yeah, Sunday night.
Sunday afternoon.
Or Sunday.
I know 2 o'clock.
I know it was on Sunday, and
from what I heard, I could be wrong, but
let me ask you, where were you? How did you first find out about it?
So I kept seeing all these posts on Facebook.
Right.
Throughout the day, because it was Super Bowl Sunday. I was working, so I don't really have access to my phone as much as I usually do. Mm-hmm. So once I did pop on Facebook, I kept seeing Pray for Down East. And for those once again that aren't familiar, we have Down East, which is we're east.
Think about it, east, down a little bit further,
down a little further to absolutely nowhere. But so I kept seeing this Pray for Down East. And then I was like, what is this about?
So I'm not on Facebook, but I'm in the Dodge family group text. Is that where you first heard about it, Chris?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it was, I guess it was kind of a prayer request because really it's like the plane just almost disappeared.
First,
yeah. It was like, they're like, hey, they're not sure what happened. Please keep. So I didn't know that they had crashed, but planes don't just disappear.
Right.
You know?
And I did hear reports that Cherry Point, which is the main hub for air traffic control, where the plane was acting erratically.
Yeah.
It wasn't either the pilot was disoriented or there's so many things
I don't know about.
Well,
that's
one
know. And
Yeah,
that's,
there's too
So-
many variables.
Yeah.
Right, but this is what was being said was from they weren't sure.
something was off.
Yeah, it wasn't sure if there was a mechanical problem or the pilot was hurt or so. But the plane was not acting accordingly to what it should be doing.
And we're not talking about a transatlantic flight, that's
Yeah.
going 10 hours, 12 hours. I mean, we're
Yeah,
talking
we're
about
25
a puddle
minutes.
jumper.
Yeah,
And, I don't know, Chris, when you saw that, I guess it was a Facebook post that was screenshot and sent. We're in the Dodge family group text. What was your initial? Mine was, oh no. I mean, you don't want to hear about anything happening wrong on a plane.
No, I mean, especially considering the circumstance as well. Like it just went immediate prayer. Prayer
Right.
mode. That's just what it went.
Yeah. And I'm in I get all my news from group texts. But I'm in a group text that I've been in for about a decade.
Facebook.
And
That's where the real news happened.
Andrew, I believe it was Andrew Brothers or one of them sent a couple pictures and it showed the kids and sitting in the plane. And that was, I guess, a previous post. They were coming back.
Right.
Like, hey, we had a great hunting trip. And they were like, we're in the air. And man, I'm going to tell you, like, when you read names, it doesn't, but when you put a face on it and you
becomes
see,
real.
you see how young these kids were and just, yeah, I mean, grief. I was thinking about it as we were preparing for today, and we're not certainly not counselors. This isn't a show like here's how you get over your 15-year-old
Right.
child dying
Yeah.
or your classmate. I mean, the closest thing I could come to it was Chris. You probably remember Brad Boyd in high school. He died in a car accident. He was like a junior, and just man, how like very sad. It was just weird.
It is weird.
You know what I
when-
mean? Like he's not in the hallway anymore. Like it was just strange.
And the strange part about it, especially because I lost a teammate of mine for my football, the center of our football team was in a wreck and killed him as well. And you expect, I mean, every time I would go to school, I would expect Jay to come walking through the door.
Yeah, because in high school, you're like, when I pass this vending machine between these periods,
Yeah, or
you're like,
seeing
what's
your
up,
mom,
dude? What's
you
up,
see
dude?
your- and then it was just, you constantly he's going to walk through the door any minute.
It's so habitual, you know. It was the same way with Brad. And so in a weird way, and I still remember the song that they played at his funeral. I mean, talk about a well-attended funeral. Did you go to that, Chris? You were still pretty young.
No, but I knew Brad was the guy.
Yeah.
He was the biggest guy. He was on your baseball team growing up.
He
It was very weird to see he could even get hurt.
I mean, he was like getting recruited by, I think he's like 6'4", 6'5". Anyways, I remember at his funeral, and it's amazing. Music is just like a universal language.
Yeah.
You know, you can think of breakups you've gone through and a song anytime you have
You associate
emotions
it.
tied to it, that song brings it back. But they played, and I'm sure this is, if I was the family or the friends, or the song was by, I think it was Diamond Rio, One More Day. You remember that song? And like to this day, it's kind of an older country song, one of those that if you don't have any affinity for it, you're like, oh, that's just another pandering country song probably. But man, when that played, I'm telling you, dude, it was at
becomes
Glad Tidings
a
Church. Dude, it still brings back insane. And man, my heart broke so much for like the parents. Man.
Yeah.
No one should have to bury a child.
Yeah, especially, and for those that don't have children, Matt and I both have children. Mine are older, but they still are every bit a part of your life, no matter what. I never want to do that, and I really don't understand how a parent's supposed to do that.
Dude, I don't think you were not built for it.
I
mean,
couldn't imagine.
Poll any parent, would you take a bullet for your kid? And it's like, where do I sign
it's
up?
like,
I'll do
yeah.
it happily.
Yeah,
You know, especially for men, legacy is so important to us. And like, we're protectors, and just, the hopeless feeling. I can't imagine, man. You can see, I don't ever get emotional, but like, I'm just picturing Jackson. And there was a mom and a son on there, and just, I can't imagine we've all been on flights, and anytime there's anything a little bit weird,
You always have that doubt.
my
in your
mind
head.
goes
Yeah.
immediately like, Lord, let me get right. Even I think I'm right, but let me get right real quick just in case, because if this goes down, the hell are we supposed to do?
And for me, it almost brings back like the Kobe when his helicopter went down, and you're sitting there and you're looking at your child, how helpless like they felt.
Death is. I was writing about this earlier. Like, so I love to write because it helps me figure out what I'm thinking. Like I have all these thoughts, and death is so weird, right? It's something that's coming for us all. We all, like, what do they say, death and taxes. But we put it in that category in our mind, like I'll cross that bridge when I get to it, but I'm not going to dwell on it right now. And there's this weight that comes with death, the finality of it, right? I almost likened it to when I was writing. It's like, pretend you lived in England in the 1800s and you broke up with your girl, or your girl broke up with a guy, and he got on a ship to go across sea, and you're like, well, I'm never seeing that person again. Like the chances, but it's even more so than that, and I was thinking about there's really two, I broke it down like two categories. There's two kinds of death, right? There's those that are kind of expected. Someone's been battling a sickness and illness for a while, and you've kind of readied yourself for it. You've made peace, and like when you get to hang out with them, it's like on borrowed time. You feel like you're playing with house money, and then there's those that, something like this, where it's over before you could even react. The thoughts of, God, I wish I could have, it's that song, One More Day, like just to say, man, I love you, buddy. Like, or just the sense of urgency you get, like, don't get on that fucking plane. Seriously.
Yeah. And
like, it's weird how your mind will play those games.
And you talked about the two deaths. Neither one of them are easy, because if you have that long drawn out sickness, you're just like, you just want to rip the Band-Aid off and get it over with. And then the sudden death one is just, it's so sad. Both of them are just tragic. But in this instance, when you have children involved that haven't really had a chance to do anything, I mean, obviously they lived a little bit of life, 15, 16 years old. But, me, I'm hitting the age of 50 this year. I mean, those kids still have, years and years
of... sophomores in high school, would that be?
Yeah.
Sophomores and juniors?
Yeah.
I mean...
Sophomore, yeah.
I was thinking earlier, now with technology, your world is a lot bigger now, because you can follow someone that lives in Dubai if you wanted to, it can feel a lot bigger. But when I was that age, my world was so small.
Yeah.
It was Morehead City, really. We didn't like people from East Carteret. We didn't like people from Croatan. We'd all meet up at the Seafood Festival. It turned into a brawl. Like, hated Newport. And then each year it got bigger and bigger. Of course, I married a girl from East Carteret, and I live in Newport. So.
Well, it's funny about you. One of the things I did,
Not to laugh. That's funny.
what I did want to talk about is the community itself, and you hit it a little bit. That we do have our rivalries. We have East, West. We have Croatan. We have
right.
But when something tragic comes down, we all come together.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
it reminds me after 9/11.
Right.
Where people are like, hey, dude, we got a hell of a lot more in common than we don't.
Right.
Then,
And then
and now I've grown out of that hatred for East Carteret. I'm having to
bear
my cross every morning.
But it's, when we lost Chief Snyder, everybody came together. When Jenna's dad died years and years ago, I mean, everybody came together because he was so loved. And there's so much ties, and we're weaved into such a community that
it puts things into perspective immediately.
Exactly. I mean, because I didn't personally know any of these kids.
I recognize a lot of the last names.
I do too, because they're well known.
So I know somewhere, I know someone.
I mean, you got a Styron,
I probably, who knows?
So, but
just seeing that picture, man, of them in that plane, because my mind immediately thought, like, I don't know if it was soon after that, or the seating arrangement was probably really similar when they were like, oh no. And just, man.
Yeah.
I can't. What do you think, Chris?
I mean, it's one of those things you don't want to do a disservice to the people involved, right? But you can't help but think about the stuff that's happened to you, the people who are in your life currently. And I know in our family we've had some pretty young loss as well. And that's where the loss really gets tough. It's the, you know, like when you've lived a long life, like grandparents, great grandparents.
They had a
right?
good run. Yeah.
Right. They had a good run, but they also got to see their kids and their kids' kids. And so when they go, it's more of like, I'm ready to go.
Yeah. They're at peace with it.
It followed a natural order, how it should be.
Yeah,
it's not fun. But
it's one of those things where you just think, and it's really one of those why God moments. I know personally we've had in our family a young little nephew.
Yeah.
Don't want to go into that too much, but it's
Like,
those are the ones that really
point?
make you question.
Yeah.
Because it's like you just don't understand kind of why that happened.
Right.
And this isn't to do a disservice or try to bring anything on ourselves, but I just think you just automatically you start thinking about stuff that's happened personally, and then that even makes it worse kind of deal. And this it's literally not trying to
No, but it is fresh. And I was talking to Chris earlier, like the way our mind is, as we are wired to like fix problems, right? And this is a huge problem. So you immediately start to think, oh, I don't know, was something wrong with the pilot? Was it like almost you get this sense of urgency, like almost you can turn back the clock and prevent it. And then it's like eventually once your mind shuts down, then you can truly grieve. I can't imagine from the family, when something happens like that, when you are suddenly in the focus it's like, remember we did a show, Be Careful What You Get Famous For. If you're a police officer, you don't want to be famous because it's probably not for a good reason. Yeah. Well, the family of this, like these names are released, and they have to be, and people are coming from a place of love, but reminded of this incident every second of the day. They have to put on a brave face.
Yeah. And my son, I went out to dinner with him last night, and we were talking about it.
He's 17.
He's 18.
18 now.
And he was saying how he was tired of seeing it on Facebook. And it didn't come from a bad place. He wasn't saying I'm tired of seeing it on Facebook I'm just tired of seeing it. He was I'm tired of seeing it because if I'm seeing it, the families are seeing it. Yeah. And it's a constant reminder of what's happened.
I mean, I would go dig a hole, man. I would want to talk to this is, what did they say the advice to grieve is don't do it alone, surround yourself. But that's like the last thing on fucking earth I want is to sit with somebody and have them, you know what I mean? There's probably a very select amount. But other than that, it's like, hey, thank you, but leave me the hell alone. Like, yeah. But it is pretty amazing, the support. So we're wearing camo now
today everybody decided to wear in support.
Yeah, I was meeting with a client earlier who had their granddaughter in, and she doesn't even go to the same high school, was wearing a camouflage jacket, and it is, and I've always, those things online where like there's a lot of virtue signaling, right? So I want to be careful not to be, hey, I was best friends with them, and you know what I mean? There was some comedian did a joke on that, how celebrities will jump on a cause and say, hey, that was really sad, but what about me? I don't want to be like that, but at the same time.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement that the purpose for us putting this video out is, one, is to grieve with the community.
And we acknowledge it.
And acknowledge it. Two is to show the support our community has had when one of our own go down or a family gets hurt. We pull together.
Just be brutally honest, man. It fucking sucks.
It does, because
it sucks. There's no comfort I can give to any of them other than this. This is the worst.
I look at these names and then I look at the age, and I look at the ages and I'm like, all I can think about is what could have been. And I'm just, it really, like Chris said, that why God moment, and stuff, I try not to question. Yeah, I try not to question God when he brings us home, but there's a little bit of doubt, like why, I mean.
And I mean, the Bible's can take all things, make them for good, and we're seeing some of the good that comes out of it. But I can guarantee, if I'm the family, it don't feel that way.
Yeah.
They're not like, I'm so great. They are grateful for the community, but they wish the community would have come together for a different reason.
Different reason. Yeah, like totally different reason.
What do you think, Chris?
I mean, it's kind of like just to kind of clarify on that that why God moment. That's not why God did you take it?
He didn't make it. He didn't kill them. Yeah.
God doesn't use that for His glory. You know what I mean? Like He didn't do that for Him. So it's, and I know kind of.
Or He doesn't need to do that.
He doesn't need it, and I mean it's, coming from where like kind of as far as our beliefs go, we do know they're in a better place, but at the same time, it's like, what is it? Everybody wants to go heaven. Nobody wants to go now.
Yeah.
It's kind of that same kind of sentiment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, it's, personally, I don't believe, heaven gained more angels. Angels are there for us. What heaven gained is more sons, more daughters.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really where it comes from. Is it's that they're
I'm
not,
hoping. I'm hoping they were saved. I'm like that's another. You're as a believer. That's where your thought goes. Like your heart breaks at the thought.
I don't even want to. Kind of think about that. But it's, it's them. Yeah, man, it's just weird. It's just weird. It sucks is kind of the best way to sum it up.
Yeah, it's man. What is that Mercy Me song? Can only imagine.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I was at Aunt Lina Mae's funeral where the guy talking, because people say so and so is they're up there looking down on us, and the pastor was like, well, I don't know if she's looking down on us because if she's in the presence of God, I promise she's not thinking of anything else. Yeah. Like her own. If we could feel for 1 second where there is no pain. Anyways, yeah, our only sadness.
Take a sip, big guy.
This is so gay, right?
It's not.
No, our only sadness would be that we're down here, not up there.
Right.
If you can feel that, and like, hopefully the family can take that
thought.
That's it's a comfort, and when you put it in that perspective, we are all selfish beings. Like selfishly, I wish for their family's sake. It didn't change my life one way or the other, right? They weren't my nephews. They didn't, whatever. But man, that's all. That's my hope.
I think coming from, being a dad, being, having close friends like you guys and stuff like that, you kind of want to take that and kind of embrace them. You see what I'm saying? It's like,
yeah, dude, I texted everyone. I'm like, go hug your kids.
Yeah.
Like,
you just
put your arm around them. Like, man. But we were talking about the sudden death and the kind of death that you had seen coming. Remember when Buddy died? Where we had to put Buddy down, our golden retriever? Like, we all got to say goodbye, but it was still really sad.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? There's the finality of it. First, I don't know if the sadness would have been any more if he'd had gone suddenly, like got hit by a car or something, something accidental. It's weird. My mind is trying to make sense of something that can't be made sense of.
Yeah.
Well, trying to make sense of something that doesn't.
It's the stages of grief.
There's no logic that's going to be like, oh, well, then you're fine. Like, even the acknowledgement, if they're in heaven, they're in such a better place. It's actually really selfish for me to want them to be on this fallen earth. That doesn't.
No.
It's head knowledge.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I can speak as a new dad, as a 3-year-old. Like, my son is 3. I'm 30. Oh, God, I'm about to turn 35. You do. Because you love your wife, right? You love your spouse. You love that. But your child, it's like, dude, that's part of me completely dependent on, and it's
You know, I heard a thing Ryan Reynolds was on talking about. It was a while ago when he was on Letterman, and he said that
people say I look a lot like him.
oh yeah,
No, no one said that.
I was kidding.
Maybe in
I need a list.
in Daredevil.
Let's call them now.
What was the movie he was in?
Deadpool.
Deadpool. They said I look like him in Deadpool.
Or just friends,
after the procedure.
After the cancer.
Yeah.
No, but and he was on there and he said, you know, when I first married my wife, I said, I love this woman. I would take a bullet for her any day of the week, and I would die for her. And then he said, my daughter was born, and he said, I would use my wife as a bulletproof shield to protect her.
It's true,
It
man.
is very true.
Because you chose your wife, you chose your significant other. It's like they say when a man, I mean, we see they're all like young men, dude. Like when a man looks at his son, he's not looking at another person, he's looking in a mirror.
Yeah.
And man, I just can't imagine. Like, just I can guarantee if I was, and I'm not speaking this to existence, but it would be in my head. I would have these fantasies in my head where I could teleport and trade seats with him. I know every dad right now is thinking that.
Yeah.
In a heartbeat. Like, it's crazy.
He just looked at me and well, I would teleport Billy first because he's a lot older. He doesn't have much more time.
Well, there's expected.
Somebody's got to make the thumbnails.
But yeah, I know what you mean. Like, I would gladly trade places.
Do you have any message to the family, and who cares what we think at the end of the day? Who cares?
I mean,
if they could hear one thing.
I don't know if I have anything because I've never been in that situation where I've lost someone that close as far as a child.
What's your heart saying?
My heart was saying, like, you know, have faith in the Lord that they're in a better place and they're happier. And I know it sounds clichéic and people always say that, but
Clichéic.
Yeah, I mean, how people just say that but
Sorry.
is that even a word?
No.
What's the word then?
Cliché.
I think the cliche might be. We'll make
Hey,
it
Jamie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. I have to do it. This is how we deal with things. So comedians are some of the most tortured souls in the world, so I have to try to lighten the mood. But go ahead. Sorry.
Is to know that you know, I don't know. Because I'm trying to figure what I would say, and I don't think there's anything that would comfort me.
You would just, hey man, I'm here. Like, give him a hug. I don't know you, but I know this fucking sucks.
Yeah, and that's all I can.
And
I'm with you. There's nothing.
If you need to go, like, lock yourself, like, do whatever you need to do. Don't feel the pressure of needing to appease the stampedes of well-wishers. The stampede.
And we all mourn differently, and don't let anyone shame the way you mourn. You know,
I don't think they're caring about anybody. Just
well, but I'm just saying, you know, just take your time.
Yeah, and for fans of the show, just man, hug your kids, hug your mom.
Chris, you got anything?
I mean, I don't have anything for the people themselves. You know, it's one of those things that since you don't know, like, it's not. I mean, do they really even care about the advice, to be honest? But I started thinking, I started looking as far as kind of, you know, what kind of message to send to them or what kind of whatever. But it's, you know, I honestly, right when that happened, I started thinking of Josiah, you know, and I started, you know, one thing I just looked up the notes on my phone. Which is like, you know, kind of like your mind starts searching for answers. You know, trying to
make sense of it all.
Yeah, and like literally, I was just looking, and it's like I still have the note in my phone from, you know, when it happened. It's like, I came up with a lot of answers of being like, I don't know.
Right.
And then you start looking at the things you do know. They were loved. You know, they loved us. They loved me. They loved whoever.
Mm-hmm.
But also just the battles that they went through, the, you know, adversity and just
Good news, bad news. Good news,
good news, bad news.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things that no matter how much you search for an answer in these situations, the answer is like a lot of times you don't know. You know, and that's where faith comes in. And thankfully I have faith. Thankfully we have faith. You know, man, it just
And
kind of what you hit on it the most. It sucks.
And faith is just taking God at his word. That
Right.
he'll do what he said, right?
Mhm.
And I love that verse. It's just be still and know that I'm God, you know? And a lot of times that's it. Like, be still. Just be still. Because we have this intrinsic need to do something, to fix it, especially as men, to fix it, right? Since getting married, I realized my wife doesn't want a 7-step process on how to fix
Yeah.
the,
I don't want you to. I
the
expect you to
conference,
listen.
the teacher conference room dispute, you know, because that's how immediately, all right, well, step 1, you should do this, be honest. Step 2, take a step back. Step 3, start smoking cigarettes or whatever, you know what I mean? It's just she needed to vent. And I think if I could give any encouragement to the family is like, don't just vent, get it out. If you're pissed, dude,
Yeah, you're allowed to be pissed.
Yeah.
nothing feels better than putting a damn hole in the damn drywall.
Oh,
Except don't
Unless you hit
just
the stud.
locate the studs first. But
Get a
like,
stud finder.
if you're feeling rage as a father, feel it. Like, this is an emotion. This is why we are different from animals. We have empathy. In the animal kingdom, it's not like this, you know. But that's why, you know, we were made in God's image, which means God feels anger when there's a perceived injustice. And that's what I would feel. This is an injustice. Well, they didn't need to be on a plane or hunting, or they didn't have to be. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
This is an injustice. And, you know, all the wrongs will be righted eventually. And just in the meantime, man, be still.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the worst part is eventually. You know, kind of that be still kind of mindset, you know. And that's, man, I can't even imagine this. I just know personally what we've gone through. It's one of those where, like, literally you just can't do anything about it. And I know that's what sucks for us the most is you can't do anything about it. And
Your hands are just completely tied.
yeah, and it's like you know, with these individuals, and this is not, I mean, and once again, like, personally didn't know them, but personally felt every one of them. You know what I mean? Like, it's
it's so
not
weird.
like your brain knew who they were, but you knew immediately what emotions they were going through just based on your own life.
And I think
And
that's
a big community aspect of it, you
Right.
know?
well, that's what I was going to hit on. Is I think that's the good and the bad of being in a small community. The good is that you know everybody. Your kids are being watched. You can get like my kids are. If they do anything bad, they'll know where I am. People come and tell me. But the bad part is that we're kind of tied to, and we know somebody that knows somebody that knows the family. But
That's something they'll grow to appreciate, but right now it's probably really annoying.
right, yeah,
I would
Yeah.
be annoyed out of my mind.
right.
I
But
would
I'm just saying,
I would
in
turn my phone
general-
off. My phone would be turned off. I would be not taking any visitors. And honestly, if I was one of the dads, I'd be beating the shit out of a wall. I'd get very disruptive.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping. But honestly, man, they got to go through it.
Yeah.
Like you, Chris, you know, hitting the heavy bag.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we just got to work some shit out.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't. And also, I don't want to downplay the loss of the adults either.
Right.
No, because I mean
It's not like, okay, half of these names I'm heartbroken for. The other half, man, they had a good run. It's like, but that's our tendency. Like, if we had to rank the injustices on the sheet, we're gonna say, well, the youngest, that's the most messed up. Why, God? You know, none of them got in that plane thinking, and they probably texted their mom, hey, we're on the way back.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know if to hit on this is proper or not, but in my head, immediately it went from thinking kind of like these, these kids, I'm guessing granddad, the, the
You want the
kind of
pilot?
the chaperones, whoever it is. You go from literally having one of the best times of your life
Right.
to that. And I can put, like, when I say I can put myself in that situation, I can only put myself in the best time.
Yeah.
Can't even imagine the latter. And that's really where it really hits hard. It's kind of like, I guess in the male brain, you start thinking, like, how do you fix it? How do you do anything moving forward? But also, like, people who are going on flights. Like, I have friends who have flown this weekend, and you're just, like, you can't help but think,
Shows how little control you actually have.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I just can't imagine, man. I can't imagine that realization of like, well, shit.
Yeah.
See you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I guess kind of like the message to whoever is even listening is whatever you're going through, go through it. Whatever that emotion is, let it come.
Another country song. If you're going through hell, keep on going. And I
Right,
hate
man.
to say it, but that's like the truest.
Yeah.
Because what you resist persists.
And just know the entire community, people you don't even know or even care to know,
Are
with
praying. Yeah.
are with you. That's really what it is.
And if these guys are in heaven, man, they're looking down like, dude, you don't have any clue how awesome it is up here. If you knew, you would run yourself into traffic right now. If you knew how good this felt.
I don't know if that helped. I don't know if
No, I'm saying like up in there, like there's these stories of guys who died and experienced heaven for 15 minutes and came back, right?
No, like, why am I back?
And they suffered with crazy depression because I was watching one and he's like, I had to stop my hand from putting a bullet through my head so I could go back. Like the biggest nightmare for them was to wake up here, and that's where I think we're gonna get to heaven and be like, this. That's what the Bible says. Death has lost its sting. I think that's what it's talking about. Where there is no gnashing of teeth. Where disease couldn't exist if you wanted it to. It's just it is. But even all that might make me feel better, heal. But at the end of the day, I have the emotions tied to an injustice happening. I don't have the emotions of losing a child.
association of losing a
But just knowing, you immediately put it into your own perspective. But anyways, we just wanted to be just brutally honest what we were going through while it was fresh.
And we wanted to do, say we're our family here, we're praying for your family. We wish you the best. Probably not even watching whatever. But those that are, do us a big favor. Don't subscribe to the channel.
What? If you like this video,
Take a moment. Go reach out to your family. Hug your kids. Hug your wife if you're married. Whatever you have to do. Say hi. And don't let tragedy be the catalyst for you to do that.
yeah. And if you did get some out of this, we were pouring our heart out. Like, if something touched you, share it. That's why we make this stuff is we want this to be evergreen. This is fresh. I mean, it sucks. I would say we're here for you, but we're not. You have those that are around. There are people that are here for you that would be absolutely devastated if your name was on this list. So, like, man, it's just at the end of the day, like, most of the shit we worry about doesn't matter. Camera angles and how tight this neck thing was. That was a big deal.
That was a big deal.
Anyway,
Like a zit about to pop when you put that thing on.
thanks, Billy. That's disgusting.
I mean, it kind
Chris,
of
you got any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, something that just kind of came to my head was, death is final, death is terrible. But as far as death goes, like, there's only one thing that's ever conquered death, and that is love. And that's the love from God, that's the love from your community. And just know, while we may not know you, talk to you, whatever, just know in any event, we're there for you kind of deal.
It's gonna get
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
It can't get any worse.
Nope.
Yeah.
So,
keep trucking.
anyways,
Love y'all. For real.
we'll put the camera back on us.
Mm-mm.
Wrong one. Right.
All right, guys. We'll see you on the next episode.
Peace.